This is Tuesday Tips for February the 24th, 2026 here on Following Him, the Disciple Life. Tip: add something spiritual to your viewing choices. With the day-to-day that we have as being disciples, there is a place for something like rest and recreation. I do believe a biblical case can be made for that. We will go into that in another video, Lord willing, at some point. But there is a place for that, and within that, with our modern society, oftentimes it will involve watching something, a show, a movie. With that, we need to remember biblical principles and guidance. Things like what we have in Proverbs 4:23, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. This is why I would suggest to you, as if you are someone that is seeking to follow the Christ, consider your entertainment choices, the things you watch, and consider adding something faith-based, spiritual to that. Now, with these things, you don't use this as a replacement for Bible study. But if you're someone that watches movies, consider maybe watching one of the classics, Ben-Hur, the Ten Commandments. And if you haven't seen these movies, they're great movies. They were done in a time where, in Hollywood of all places, there was at least some surface respect for these things. And within the movie itself, it was a very deep respect that was portrayed. It doesn't mean all the people that were involved with it had that deep respect, but at least it was presented that way. In this day and time, and there was a period of time where there was faith-based content being made that was okay, but maybe the production wasn't that great. Sometimes the acting was not that great. That's changed quite a bit in recent years. And when I say recent years, I mean like very recent years, like the past several years. But a show like The Chosen, which at some point, and it's probably going to be more than one video, but I'm going to deal with why I think what I do about The Chosen. To keep it short and succinct for this video, I am a fan. I do think it is a worthwhile watch. The show makers themselves, the ones that make the show themselves, will tell you don't use it to replace the Bible. In fact, there is a disclaimer at the beginning of it that, and this isn't exactly what it says, but it essentially says to read your Bible. So the show is not intended as a replacement by any means. But it's something that can get one thinking about, hey, wait a second. This being a follower of Jesus, this was, this had the reality of life that went with it. Or, seeing, Jesus himself, the challenges of doing what he did and living as a human, God become flesh. In other words, there's some quality stuff out there these days of a spiritual nature. I know a show like The Chosen, for me, like it gets me thinking on things. Sometimes the things we watch, they engage our emotions. Well, if it's something spiritual, something more spiritually minded, and it's engaging your emotions, and it's at least based in biblical truth, well, The Lord of the Rings might be great, and some might say, well, there's a bunch of biblical truth behind that. It's my understanding that Tolkien actually was just trying to see how long a book he could write. But regardless, something like that is spiritually based, I would submit, can be a positive addition to your life. And so it's not necessary to go to heaven to watch The Chosen or the other series, some of the other series that are out there like Testament, or even a humorous series like The Promised Land. But if you're going to be watching something anyhow, consider one of these shows. Consider adding something spiritual to your viewing choices. That would be a personal tip I would have for you today. You have a great rest of the day, and shalom.